We're going to now talk and hear from Uplevel Tourism. We've got Joe Martin and Randy Alexander who are going to pop in here, come off mute. I see their videos already. And you have the ability to share your screen if and when you are ready. And we're going to go ahead and pass it off to you. So if you guys want to do a little introduction and tell us a little bit about what we can expect for today, I'll pass it over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Shane. Joe Martin with Uplevel. You're going to hear a bunch from me coming up. And oh man, there's so many friends on this call. Annalise, Rodrigo, Lisa, Stu, so many wonderful faces. It's great to see everyone here. So you're going to hear more from me. Randy, real quick, if you want to fill in how you help some of the tour operators that we work with here at Uplevel.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Randy. Again, it's good to see a lot of familiar names and some faces out there after a couple tough years. Here at Uplevel, I work with clients after we've set up some of your corporate page and define your corporate customer journey. I help our clients use technologies like your email marketing systems, CRMs, to automate your emails, automate your corporate sales process and other business processes in order to generate and convert more leads, while also saving you time and money. So Joe's going to take it away, but if you have any questions for us during the session, please pop them in the chat and I'll try to address them live as best as I can.
Thank you, Randy. Concise, wonderful. And like Randy mentioned, in the next 30 minutes, we've got a handful of things. The first thing I want to talk about is the tremendous, incredible opportunity in corporate groups that all of you are sitting on right now. Next, I want to talk about who is corporate. And then we're going to look at this idea of creating a corporate groups page. And if you're not finding enough from some of the stuff we're talking about here, next Wednesday, we are hosting one of our monthly town halls. We're going to talk about where to find more of those corporate bookings. But to get started, these are the handful of things we really wanted you to begin with. So when it comes down to booking more corporate groups, the way that we're fitting in here is, for the past few years, I've done a lot on the behavioral research side of looking at the psychology of why people buy and a lot of research. And with the pandemic, man, the pandemic showed resiliency like none other in this community. So proud of everyone that was stepping up and doing what they could to fight, that we saw Devour Tours put together recipe books that had never been done before. We saw Chicago Pizza Tours start to host live pizza making classes. Bruce from Chicago Beer Experience started doing happy hours. Who doesn't want to hang out with Bruce on a happy hour? People started putting together boxes and celebrating their local community. We saw so many tours doing so many amazing and different things. And I even loved seeing American Ghost Walks team up with Chicago Pizza Tours to offer a haunted pizza tour in Chicago. And for me, I'm a big nerd and I love Lord of the Rings. And seeing this was like this scene from Lord of the Rings when the Ents emerged from the forest. It was watching all of the tour companies just claim what's theirs. And so as I watched these tour companies come up with all these new ideas, and I put it back into some of the research I've been doing around workplace and culture and the things I've learned there on the corporate side. And there's some numbers that really started to strike me as I looked at some of the commonalities. One of the first numbers was 35%. And this was about the people who can now start to work from home full time. I looked at this combined with the 23% of people who can now work from home 1 to 4 days per week. And we combine that with this thought that 21% that we know that workplace isolation can derail productivity by 21%. This is what companies are looking at. Companies are looking at, how do I keep my team together? There's an understanding that the best investment they can make is in their people. And some of those budgets that corporations had are shifting away from rent, away from paying for a physical location, and they're reinvesting those budgets in experiences to bring their teams together. This is a new arena for tour operators. This isn't a move that tour operators would make to try and pull business away from someone else. You're not cutting into anyone else's market share by targeting corporate. You are helping provide this amazing world of new experiences that these corporations need to bring people together, to do more team building. And this is where it started to feel like seeing all these other things that tours could do, it kind of started to feel like tour operators might spend a little too much time chasing down tourists. There's a lot that goes into getting those ticket sales, but what if we could have a bigger ticket item? What if you could start to sell packages at $2,500 instead of trying to sell tickets at $150 a piece? And so this is where it feels like there's a new revolution upon us. It feels like there's something rising and there's a new symbol. And for tour operators and everyone on here, it's the rise of the experience coordinator. You are more than just a tour. A tour is one thing that you're able to do. It is one segment of what you're able to offer. But if someone comes to you and says, we have $15,000 in a group of 50 that we need something to do in your city, you can take care of it. You know what to do. You know the places. You know how to arrange all of these things. You put together fantastic experiences. You've just chosen to package them up in just one idea of a tour, but it's so much bigger than that. And so becoming an experience coordinator, I want to take you through calculating lifetime value. We're going to talk about starting with one guest and then that corporate group page. And it starts with calculating lifetime value. I want you to look at the numbers, always in the numbers with business. Cultivate coming on after this is going to talk about the numbers. We love the numbers in business. And so I want you to start to at least have this handle of knowing, where does that revenue come from? Where are these opportunities and how can they start to come in? Because when we look at where you're spending your efforts, where you're spending that time, it's the idea of, am I spending my efforts chasing down a tourist who's maybe going to buy 4 tickets for a group, doesn't live in the area, and probably isn't coming back? Or what if I took the same amount of energy that I was going to invest towards marketing a public group, and I put that energy towards marketing towards a corporate group that's going to book more people who's in this area, who may book a second experience for next year, who's going to refer a colleague, who then the person that took that tour who lives in the area says, this is going to be great for my family. Oh my God, I should come back with my family and take this tour. Let's use corporate and let that spill over into bringing on more business outside of that. But when we look at this comparison, when we look at the comparison between a tourist or going after corporate, what we're really looking at behind the scenes here is spending our time going after a $400 sale or possibly a $9,000 sale. And we can climb so much faster on that $9,000. We have to focus on it. We have to be willing to put the energy behind corporate. We have to say, we're going to make an effort towards winning more corporate groups. And I need you to look at understanding, what does that even mean? How many corporate events do you need? How many can you handle? How many you can come up with? How many can you do in a year? And what does that pricing look like? Look at, what does it cost? And a lot of times, the cost of your tour is not directly representative of what you should be charging for that experience. These are two different numbers. What it costs you and the value that it is to someone else are two different things. These are not directly related. And so you need to look and really understand that value. And so we have a little more about pricing. There's an article we wrote about how to price corporate groups. We'll put that link up here in the chat, and you can go ahead and follow up and get a little more information about what some of that pricing looks like. So once we know the pricing, we know how many tours we need to go after. We're going to start with one target guest. We're just going to start there. I'm not saying you're only going to book one person for your corporate experiences, but I need you to just start with one. And a big reason for this is because no one is standing outside of a building holding up a boombox playing their message saying, here's why my tour is great. There's a person. There's someone inside of that building. Inside that little window on the top floor in the top right sits a person inside of a desk that wants to talk to you. I need you to figure out who that person is. Is it the director of HR? Is it the head of sales? Is it the head of marketing that just got this thing dumped on them to say, hey, we got some people coming in town, we need something fun to do? Figure out one person first. And a big reason we need to do this is because we're going to time travel back a little bit, and we're going to go back to the 1920s. And we're going to go back to a man considered one of the grandfathers of advertising, Mr. Claude Hopkins, who just had such a simple quote. It's so simple and we ignore it so many times, but it's this idea: just learn how to win one. We need to learn how to win one person all the way through. This means that they saw your post online, they went to that corporate group page, they scheduled a phone call, they submitted their deposit, they referred a colleague. I want you to be able to take that one person through every single one of these steps, because each one of these steps is your commitment as a business. These are the agreements you're making that you say, if I do these things, people will pay me money. You're saying, if I post online, people will visit my corporate tour page and then they will schedule a phone call. If they're not doing that, then we need to look what's happening. And in between each of those steps is a percentage of conversions that are happening. So I need you to have these steps written down for one person. No one is your customer journey, but it's going to help you understand this is how one person first finds out about my corporate group offering, all the way into this is how they refer someone else. And we want to make sure we look at that last piece. This is how we increase lifetime value, by making sure we're nurturing afterwards. And that's what Randy was talking about, some of those automations that we help create for clients is in that last step. It's in that after they took the tour. How do I make sure they refer someone else? How do we make sure they come back again without you needing to do more of that work? But the customer journey, very important. So if we have that, so if we know how many tours we need to win, what we can price them at, and that one person that we're going to try and win, then we can look at writing a corporate group page. We need the page as the first step. And it's because I need you to have the right conversation with corporate groups. If I send a corporate group to a page that looks like a checkout screen, they're going to treat the entire process as though it is a checkout style process. I need it to be more than that for corporate. It's not as easy as them just picking a day, picking a time, and saying book now. I can't have that page feel like it's a book now experience. I need it to feel more like it's written specifically for that corporate group. I don't want it to be a private group page that says, hey, we do bachelor, bachelorette parties, and we do corporate groups. No. I'm a corporate group. I want to be treated like a corporate group. I want you to talk to me. I want you to tell me the benefits that are in it for me and my group, not just that you do private parties. Not interested in private parties. I'm interested in booking my corporate group. Tell me directly you solve that problem that I have, which is getting my team together. So have that page specifically for corporate groups. When you write that page, the copy is so incredibly important. Every word that we say has different emotions. It's going to set a different expectation. A lot of times my advice with these pages is to write less. Write less. The only purpose of this page is to get someone on the phone with you so you can confirm and get more details. This page does not need to tell someone everything included with your group tour. It just needs to tell them enough information to get them to call you and reach out. Curiosity is a thing. It is a tool that we have in sales and marketing that we can use. Don't satiate their curiosity. Don't tell them too much on this page. Tell them just enough so that they want to reach out to you and get more information. So it's a big balance on this page. And some of that copy, a few tips I have for you when you're writing. We write private and corporate group pages. This is our expertise. And these are some of the rules we follow when we do that. So one of the big things is you want to avoid putting too many sales arguments in a single sentence. We don't want to push simple way, holiday experience, handle restrictions, and memorable experience. It's a lot of things to try and cram down someone's throat. Let's use those sentences, make them a little bit smaller. We also want to look at starting those sentences with your instead of we. Don't talk about you. Talk about them. Talk about the problem they have. So with those sentences, avoid talking about how amazing you are. I want you to avoid telling people every little thing that's included. Make sure you talk about them. Don't talk about yourself. If they made it all the way to this page, don't use rhetorical questions. Just tell them what they're going to get. And finally, avoid using witty language or taglines to make things sound grandiose. One of the biggest mistakes we see is just compromising clarity for quirkiness. Clarity is going to serve you so much better than quirkiness. Just help people understand what this thing is. It's a big hurdle that so many of them have. With some of your sentences, we mentioned do start them with the word you. So instead of our corporate holiday experience, the design with custom pickup, let's go ahead and say you'll be picked up at your office to enjoy this year's party. you, our. What you're doing there is you're cutting down the amount of brain's power that this person has to use in understanding what's in it for them. When you write our, they have to say, oh, that's what you do. What does that mean to me? Okay, now I get it. When you can start with you, we cut out this whole step and they just say, oh, I get it. This is what I get. So start those sentences with you. Some other tips for writing that page. Do answer their question, what's in it for me? The person reading this page with their corporate group who is in a rush, who got this thing dumped on them, that needs to hurry up and set this up and find something cool, does not care how long you've been in business. They don't care about all the great things about you. They want to know me, 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 me. They want to know what's in it for me. Use short, direct sentences to get a lot of that across. Write at a 7th grade reading level. Try and use as few words as possible. And then write for real people. Careful, there's a very fine line when writing for search engines versus real people. So let's not compromise what that real person is going to read for the search engine always. It's a balance. Talk to me. Ask me if you have questions. Ask me. Okay, so becoming an experienced coordinator, we talked about calculating that lifetime value, looking at some of the numbers behind what you're trying to do with corporate groups. How many corporate groups do we really need? Then I want you to start with that one target guest. And then that biggest step is getting that corporate group page down, having the right conversation, the right language on that page is going to be so crucial. Once you finish those things, that is when we get into things like the automation. And Randy, I'd love to pull you back in here a little bit. So someone goes through all these steps, they figure all this out, they get this new corporate group page up. And then what? What are the opportunities from there once they have that page up?
Sure. There's a lot of opportunities to fine tune your processes and the way in which you're talking to your customers and how by using a lot of different technologies efficiently. So for example, we've worked with Midgie over in Alaska to specifically target her travel agents, which are a very significant portion of her corporate group sales. So we've worked through her entire customer journey, and we know exactly when we should be talking to these individuals. So we've built out a 7-step automation on the back end with emails. So we know the language that we're using because we've already done that customer journey. We know when we should be talking to them because we have that information all mapped out. So we build it all in advance. So Midgie doesn't have to worry about anything. The processes are just running in the back end for her. So she's seen open rates and click-through rates that are over 90% on some of her emails, which are absolutely extraordinary. But we've also been able to help her keep on task. So as you know, tour operators, you're managing a lot of different processes. So we can use this technology to fine tune that for you. So the system that she uses, Active Campaign, will send her a little task that says, you know, you haven't heard from Shane Cost in 7 days about his private event. You need to follow up with them. And she has all of that on her dashboard. So she knows exactly who she needs to talk to and why, because all of that data is in the system for her. So she's able to work more efficiently, getting that time back so she can spend it in other areas that really need her attention and may be more valuable for the business. But there are really endless opportunities with technology to, you know, get those conversions and also that time back for you and your business.
There's just little tweaks. There's just little tweaks that stuff needs to work for corporate. That's just going to help it streamline a little bit better. So
yeah,
that's we think the case is. That's we think the cases for why tour operators are more than tour operators, and that all of you wear your new experienced coordinator badges proudly. Let's start selling more corporate groups. Shane, I think we've reached the end of ours, and we're gonna move on to a question and answer portion.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks so much. We've got a couple of questions already coming here through the chat feature, and this is also an opportunity for anybody who wants to come off of mute and ask. First, before we even do, Joe, thanks for bringing the energy, the charisma, the knowledge, the information. Always a pleasure. Randy, so good to see you thriving in the industry and still doing what we know that you're just a brilliant genius tactician. So yes, just so you're aware, we will be sending out a email with the pitch deck from these presenters who offered it to us and to anybody who registered, as well as a copy of this entire Zoom meeting. But I want to go through a couple of questions. One is, any thoughts on Proposify or other software to help manage the funnel?
Love it. Love it. Randy, your thoughts?
Yeah, Proposify is great. We also use ActiveCampaign with a lot of our clients, which you can integrate with Proposify to also track all the information on those clients as well.
Great question.
Highly,
okay,
highly suggested.
I think
I guess for those who may not know what Proposify is, we can just say real quick, online software that allows you to send out a document with your proposal in it that has the terms that someone can sign off on. One of the biggest reasons I love this, it increases perceived value. It looks good. It looks more expensive. It feels more expensive. Some of those little things are all part of how much you're able to charge for the corporate experience.
Yeah. Another question, and Brian, we might need you to maybe expand on this. It says, what rate % are you aiming for margins? I'm assuming that's for corporate events. That might be a question for the community, since obviously.
How many stories hotel? No,
somebody needs to come off mute. We can hear your conversation.
One story.
Can you hear me?
On the side.
Yeah, now we can hear you, Brian. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this actually came up in another webinar I joined not too long ago. Obviously, you're not going to offer to them at your full retail rate, because that's based on a smaller group of people, and to entice them, because you're going to get a larger group. So then I would eliminate my retail rate. Say I bring it down from $115 to say $92 for our craft beer tour, and they say, great, that's wonderful. Now give it to me cheaper. It's like, what's your strategy on this? Because you never appease anybody, because at 92, that's with my 30% margin already in there. Is there any strategy that's better suited for this, or just say I'll give you 15% off my normal retail or 20% off my normal retail, so it doesn't touch into your guaranteed margins,
So this one, I go back to language so much because it's perceived value. And so regardless of whether you're charging 92 or 110, that I know that there's a tour that runs a $115 ticket taco tour that you would say, oh my God, how the hell would I ever pay $115 for just a few tacos? But it's all in how it's positioned, how you're selling it. So a lot of the arguments that we hear about price, a lot of the pushback that people get on price is because they don't understand the value. They don't really know what they're getting. They think they're going to jump on a bus and you're taking them to a few spots and that's it. And it's the example of, if I were to tell you, do you want to pay $50 for this cheeseburger, Brian? And you're like, no. But why would I pay $50 for a cheeseburger? I can go to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger for $5. But then when I tell you that there is a French chef who is traveling the US, he's going to be in the city for only 2 nights, and he's only doing this for exclusive audiences of 25 people per night, and I'm offering you one of those tickets, and it's going to be $50 for that cheeseburger. All of a sudden you understand why you're going to pay $50 for a cheeseburger instead of $5 from McDonald's. Because it's the wording. It's so important in terms of how you say, and this is why we want that corporate group page, because I need that corporate group page to speak specifically. These are the benefits to you. This is why it's a $50 cheeseburger that you want to take this package with us. Does that help, Brian? Oh, got you on mute, buddy.
It's like you're creating a little bit of exclusivity. You join us because we can bring you to that unique experience that you're not going to be able to go on and do on your own. Yeah,
Yeah.
we aim for anyway, but you're stressing to make it stress that for the corporate clients as well, that we're going to bring you there, we're going to bring you to a special experience, a special dish, meet you to that special person that's just not going to meet any normal person, and we'll connect you to. Okay, I mean it's normally what we do anyway for our normal tours, but for that corporate
Yeah.
group, just stress it even more, right?
You
Yeah.
got it. So much of the tours that we work with when we go to write these pages for them, like a lot of it, it's stuff you're already doing.
Yeah,
You're just
right,
not putting it
right.
out there and saying we do this, but yeah,
Right.
you already do it.
Yeah, in my my local market, the corporate market, well, just in we run tours in Hanoi, Vietnam, so everybody's always price sensitive. Everybody's always looking for a discount. Right? If I bring you 20 people, how much? You got to give me a discount. They always ask for a discount.
Yeah.
I know I see it in the comments, people say I charge you even more or the same, but I'm like, God bless you that you can't, that you're not going to charge them less. But in my market, you're forced to. You can't. You have to charge them. You have
We
to give them a
gotta,
break. Yeah.
yeah, and it's really finding some of your unique value. So one of the things we'll do, it's a
Right.
process called review mining, and we'll go back through hundreds of reviews and try to figure out, is someone talking about a pain point? Are they talking about an undesired thing that they didn't like? Are they talking about an unexpected surprise that they liked? And there was a tour that we worked with that one of the things that persistently came up was this idea that it was easy to get on and off the bus. Why the hell would we ever put that down as a bullet point? But when we went back through the reviews, this is what kept coming up. People are like, man, it was so easy to get on and off the bus. It was real easy. Like, holy shit. So looking back to look back, definitely that customer data, some of that insight will help you understand what's most valuable to them.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, because we have some amazing, excellent reviews specifically for the craft beer tour, and we're the only ones that run it in Hanoi. So that's our little my feather in my hat, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's the one I want to try to push to some of these sort of corporate. It's the international schools. They're when they get a new wave of teachers come to Hanoi after they get settled in. How about a nice evening on out, a fun evening on out? Yeah. That's what we're trying to do.
Priceless.
Yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so busy with my schoolwork," or but I don't need 100 people. I don't need 100 people, but I need us. Yeah. If you got 20 people, I'm killing it. For that tour. So yeah.
Love it.
Okay.
Thanks,
Love
man.
it.
Great questions. What I'd like to do is just open it up again. If anybody, yep, okay, Alessia, go ahead. You can come off mute. Go ahead and ask. Absolutely.
Okay, so it's kind of piggybacking off of something Kenny said earlier, and now has to do with, I guess, getting more corporate and private business. So, of course, we all love creating awesome new products and this and that. So this year, I got to curate an event for a large corporate client, repeat customer, 80 to 100 people at a venue. And I'm like, this was so easy. This was so awesome. How do I get more of them? So finally, instead of trying to do 5 million things at once, I'm really trying to be more proactive, because I'm always just dealing with inbound. Like, the conversion rate's high, people who write in, it's a streamlined process, great. But we have capacity for so much more. And the margins are amazing. Obviously, like in New Jersey, pharma is really big. So my question is, yes, I love to curate things and create new products, but trying to appeal to like the general public, and most of my market is locals, New Jersey locals. Only about 5% of my business is actually tourists. So I don't know if that's common for anyone else here, but how do I tap into like associate, like what should I be going for then? If like I have good conversions, I have a great product, I don't have a lot of competition, so how can I get more of it? Big question.
Randy, you want to take this one, Randy?
Sure. So first of all, we're going to have a town hall this month on how to find your corporate tour customer and follow them all the way through. I think we could definitely develop your journey for that customer and pick that apart a little bit. So now that you've had that one, that you really want to target, using that information in an automation, I think would be great. But something that really hit home with me as you're kind of talking is like, you have so much inbound that you're managing that it sounds like we could make that process potentially more efficient, using technology so that you can maybe be spread out a little less, so that we could build automations to target, whether it's big pharma. There's a lot of ways to get the contact information from all the pharma corporations within your area, put them into a list, have that be an automation that runs with 5 different emails that you're targeting with the language that we could help you write, that's built for that target customer. So it's a very like hands-off process, where it's running for you. You have that target market already kind of figured out, and then it's running in the back end. So then you're just essentially cycling them through for more inbound in that scenario. Does that make sense, Alessia?
Does, but it's not a lot. I mean, like, I guess I'm managing it through like, however I'm managing it, but how do I increase that number of inbound leads, I guess?
Yeah. So that pharma's big you are, so you can literally look up all of the the related corporations in your area. A lot of the time, whether it's on their website, they'll have their contact information. You can plug them into a list, or you can target them on LinkedIn, having some quick verbiage on, again, that value that you're offering to that target customer, and sending that just as direct in mail. You can see some success that way. And if you are targeting them not only via email, but also on LinkedIn, they're going to be more likely to convert with you the more times they see your information. Just a couple ideas.
I'll add on that one. I'll add on that one real quick. Just the idea of, finding them on LinkedIn, find the right companies. Sometimes let's just direct outreach. I think one of the greatest things that tour companies really have to their advantage is what you do is already so cool that they kind of just need to know you exist. They just need to know you have this. That's why I'd want to see you have that corporate tour page. And then, as Randy said, find some of the pharma companies if that's in the area, and even just start reaching out on LinkedIn and say, hey, here's what we do. Next time you have some people together, because it's such a cool thing already. I think people would love to hear from you. And
Thanks,
more next week's town hall. Thank you.
Yeah. And maybe if it could help the audience, Joe or Randy, if you could maybe put a link to how they can learn more information about that town hall, and maybe being able to attend, I think that would be really helpful. And with that, guys, we're a few minutes past the end of that presentation. I think that really hit home. I know that as far back as, I believe it was Seattle 2016, for some of the GFTC events, as we used to call them, we were trying to get people on the bandwagon for corporate events. So here we are almost 10 years later, and it is now, for a lot of businesses in the food and drink space, it's all they do. And in some cases, it's at least 50% or more of their business, if not more. And so we're really excited to get this conversation and keep it going, because especially now there's so many tools out there and resources that you can use to automate, sophisticate, and in all their ways grow your business. You're leaving a lot of money on the table if you are not taking very seriously corporate events as a business opportunity, as a business driver for your company, especially after coming out of COVID. So I think that presentation really hit home in a lot of ways. And I think we might even have that concept of corporate bookings come up again here in some of the forthcoming presentations, and certainly when we get to the breakout rooms. And so again, just a little bit of a round of applause for Joe and Randy for taking some time out of your day to join us today. We really appreciate you. Hopefully you guys can stick around for those breakout rooms, but either way, we really appreciate what you're doing for the industry and what Up-Level Tourism is doing for brands that are on here, and potentially new brands as well.